Hey guys, I'm back. I'm Samantha and I'm a therapist and I'm creating a video every day for a year. This is video 334. Hope you're doing amazing today or tonight, whenever you catch this. And it's so funny, I was thinking about this. I did that video yesterday and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this shorter video, and it was like 22 minutes long. So thank you for listening. As always, I appreciate you all so much. Hope you're appreciating yourself. Remember that you need to appreciate yourself all day long. I want to ask you the question, what is keeping you from being your true self? That is a question I ask all my clients all the time. And I ask myself that too when I'm feeling like self-one again. I go back to, what am I afraid of? Sometimes we dim our light, we dim our abilities because we get maybe a negative opinion from someone, or we feel a certain feeling from somebody. And remember, everything is reflecting you. So check your belief systems. Don't worry about what's going on outside of you. That's none of your business, other than look at it as data and say, I wonder why this shows up right here. And so I know Bashar talked about one time, he said, somebody had asked a question about something and they'd be like, oh, well, I know that. And he's like, no, you don't actually know it. You know it intellectually, but you don't actually know it and believe it about yourself. And so when I thought about him saying that, I was like, that makes so much sense, because we all the time say, well, I know this and I know that, but really there is a underlying belief there that you might not be feeling worthy or good enough or deserving, or if I'm my true self, I'll be abandoned. If I'm my true self, I'll be judged, not liked, not accepted. As humans, acceptance is like one of the number one things we want. Subconsciously and consciously, we want to feel like we belong in society and all these things. But if you look at yourself as like, this is just you, you're doing all this. So take your power back. I want to just give you some empowerment to take your power back, because you can create and design yourself any way you want. And so we have to create these practices, I believe, to shift some things, and we've got to disrupt those patterns. So check what underlying belief systems you might have that are reflecting the way that you are, like the habits that you have or the behaviors that show up, the patterns. Just look at your patterns, because your patterns will show you everything. Your life is reflecting you. So look at your life and examine it with curiosity, not with blaming yourself or berating yourself, or like, oh, I should know differently. Golly, there's been, like, as I do these videos, I really take them in myself, because I'm hearing myself talk, and then I'm hearing myself back one time while I'm uploading and getting it ready and everything, and making sure there's no weird errors or anything. And man, and also talking to clients too, I think like I'm processing out loud with them as well. So I will just have, recently I had a couple of old, like, flashbacks come up of these old feelings. Like, I had a friend of mine that died when we were 19. I'm 43. Like, I just had this little flashback, but it wasn't, it wasn't like a past event necessarily, but it was like this feeling. It was like in my childhood home, and I had this like feeling, and I just like started crying, and I could feel this release coming out of me. So I think the more we dig into these videos, because there's hundreds of them now, and I'll keep making them as long as you guys enjoy them. I'll keep making them, and I just think that the more repetition we have, the more you're going to break open, and there's some stuff in there that might need to shake loose. And that's what I love about EMDR therapy. I do that with clients, and I look at it like it's an etch-a-sketch for your brain. You shake it a little bit, and it just shakes loose some of the old things that just weren't kind of processed and wired correctly, and they carry a lot of emotional weight to them. So then they kind of weigh you down in life. And so it helps to process emotions properly, instead of just from like the traumatic events or the meanings that were attached subconsciously. So it's just super helpful technique in therapy. Everything's a placebo, of course, right? I don't know. So, but if you believe things work, they will work. Every technique is a permission slip to be more of yourself. So I want to just give you permission to be yourself. There is so much fakeness out there, if you haven't noticed. I mean, I'm sure you have. I'm not going to talk crap about anybody or anything. I think everything out there is a creation of some sort. But I do think that we're creating more, or creating a need for more authenticity. And so that's why I wanted to create this channel too, and not edit or anything. It's just me being myself, talking like I would to a friend or a client, and not deleting anything or editing anything, just kind of being my unedited self. And I want you to do that too. Feel safe enough to do that. Don't put on that mask that you're so used to putting on, because you're holding you back from being you. And you never know what could happen if you stepped into who you truly, really are, and what could just pop into your life. Maybe there's something that's been just kind of oppressed inside you for so long, because you feel like you have to be the perfect wife or the perfect partner or the perfect mother or father, perfect employee, perfect boss, perfect entrepreneur, perfect whatever. I don't know, all the roles. Who are you without those roles? Just be you. You're just you. Those roles don't even matter. The money doesn't matter. The possessions don't matter. Nothing matters. Only you matter. And how you feel about you matters. And people matter. Relationships matter. But at the core of those is the relationship with yourself. So you've got to speak to yourself really kindly. Have this, up the ante of the level of kindness you give to yourself. How about that? Like, really create this level of kindness and self-respect that can't be matched anywhere else. Just create that for yourself. You've got to set that standard. I was talking to someone about relationships earlier, and how, they kept saying, I put up with this and I tolerate this, and I'm dealing with this, but I don't really want to. It's not really what I want. And I jumped all over that one, because it's like, we've got to decide for ourselves what our standards are. And you have to change your self-concept to know that you are worthy and deserving of everything that you want. Literally everything. Don't let anybody tell you who you are. You tell you who you are. You don't let somebody else dictate your life. You decide how you design your life. You decide how you see yourself. Don't let anybody outside of you tell you who you are. But remember, we're creating all this. Let's look at it that way. We're creating all this. Let's say the law of assumption. Whatever you assume is true. Whatever state you're occupying will be reflected back to you. So look at these people as data. Look at your patterns. That's the biggest thing. It's like, I think we've all tolerated things in our life. I know I have. And I look at the pattern, and I go so deep, but there's so many layers. I've had a couple of you comment about the layers we go through as humans, and this work. There are layers. It's like you get to one layer and you're like, whoa, I see more clearly now. And then something else happens and you're like, oh my God, I see even more clearly. Like, wow, I didn't think I could see this clearly anymore. And then it keeps happening and happening until you're like, wow, I'm just a totally different me now. Totally different identity than I was before. I don't even like that person anymore, or I don't even want to do that anymore. And I did it for 20 years, and I can't believe I don't even like to do that. I didn't even know I didn't like to do that. But yet you had a stomach ache every day for some reason, or a headache every day, or your blood levels were off in your blood work and there was no explanation for it. There's a reason. Like, you got to let joy flow through you instead of negativity. And that negativity affects our brains too. And it actually inhibits, kind of disrupts the way the brain thinks, like the frontal lobe, where your executive functioning is. It's like it kind of shuts that off a little bit. And so we're not able to think clearly. Then we say we have brain fog and all this stuff. And it's like, check your emotions first. I am a firm believer in this, that every physical ailment is caused by emotion. Everything. Pain is resistance, and it can be resistance to anything, but it's resistance to the natural self. So if you think about it, are you being your natural self? And each day practice that. Say, am I being my true self every single day? And what does that look like to be my true self? Because again, it might come in layers. You might see like, oh yeah, this is who I am. And then the next week it might be, oh, well, there's this thing that I realized that I am now too. And you just keep shifting. And that's evolution. It never ends. So there's no time frame. You don't have to worry about hurrying. There's no hurry, no worry, no time frame. Time is an illusion. There's only now. So just live in your now and let things unfold naturally. And we do get very, very anxious and panicky about all kinds of things. And if you train yourself, I promise you can do this. When you train yourself to start being kind to yourself, you start becoming more of your true self, you will feel so much better. And that panic and anxiety will go away because it's not necessary anymore for you to experience it. Because you're not thinking those same thoughts and having those same beliefs and those same emotions and those same chemical reactions in your body, and then the same behaviors and habits and circumstances won't even happen anymore because you've shifted the way you see yourself. So I want you guys to practice that every day and ask yourself, am I being my true self right now? Yes, there are things that we have to do sometimes. We get this. You got to go to work. A lot of people don't like their jobs, but in the book, The Science of Getting Rich, which someday I would love to just do something with The Science of Getting Rich, teach out of it, whatever. Just interact with you guys with these books. I love books so much. If you haven't noticed, love books. But in The Science of Getting Rich, it says, no matter what environment you're in, I'll kind of just paraphrase in my way of saying it. It's like, no matter what environment you're in, make peace there and do the best you can in that environment, wherever it is. And know while you're making the best of where you're at, then hold true to your vision in your mind for yourself. So whatever it is that you want. If you are making, half of what you want to make, and you know that there's another job out there that you just need another year's experience where you are to get to that other, the greener pasture you think is so much greener, which normally it's really not that much greener. It's your state of being that matters, not the circumstances. Remember that. But if you make peace where you're at and you hold true to that vision, you never know what will happen with that vision that you're holding. It could be that job that you're wanting, or it could be something even better. Just don't hold yourself to a ceiling. There is no ceiling to the higher self. The higher self knows so much more than the brain knows. The brain is just kind of capped. So it's got that ceiling. So just kind of imagine something that maybe is even outlandish, like I've said. Just imagine something that could never happen, maybe. And have fun using your imagination. Stretch it like a muscle. Train it like a muscle. Because you're training yourself to become more of yourself. Just look at it that way. There is nothing to change but yourself. Because once you see yourself differently, you see everything differently. And I promise you'll create that inner peace. But there are people out there, I know I've said before, that if your nervous system is used to experiencing stress all the time, we get addicted to those feelings so much that when we actually relax, it feels like stress because we're so addicted to chaos. And some of us don't even know that we're addicted to that feeling. It's not on purpose and it doesn't feel good necessarily. It just happened over time because we got chronically, exposed and conditioned to feeling that way. So just really get to know yourself. Ask yourself these questions. These are the questions I ask clients all the time. And these types of questions that are those deeper kind of root questions, like what's the root issue here? Those are the things that cause transformation really quickly in people. And I've seen huge results much faster than the therapy I did when I first started 12 years ago, when I didn't know what I was doing. So there are so many questions you can ask yourself and be very introspective and curious about you. Because you are the only thing that matters. And you do matter. There are so many people, again, that I talk to, they don't feel like they matter. You matter, and you have to be your own cheerleader because you might not have anybody in your life that will do that for you. Right, yet. We're going to say the word yet. So you have to give it to you. You have to give it to you. And without fail. Like without fail. And you need to decide what your non-negotiables are. Maybe a non-negotiable for you would be, I am not going to look in the mirror and notice every wrinkle today. I'm going to tell myself I'm beautiful or I'm handsome or whatever it is. We have to be non-negotiable and say, I'm no longer ever going to speak badly about myself. Because we tend to do that so much. So, and it's so unfair. And then that creates this state that we're in. So we're occupying, living in a state, and that is what is producing a perception of reality. It's a projection. Where, it's like, where do you want to project from? A negative self-talk that you've had that day, like this monologue inside your head that you've kind of had with yourself, like telling yourself, like, yep, you suck. Yeah, I don't like this about you. I don't like this. I don't like that. Like, we don't want to listen to that, because that is the lie identity. Remember that. We don't want to create our life from our lie identity. We want to create it from our identity, our new self that we want to be. And why waste another minute feeling the other way when you could just decide to change it now? You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You're capable. And again, so many people think they're not. I had to program that in too. I was always a magical thinker. I really was. So I had a leg up, I think. I always thought weird, magical things could happen. And they have. So maybe shift into that. Always say, like, maybe that's a good affirmation. Like, everything in my life can be magical and weird and fun and unfold perfectly for me in the most mysterious, awkward, crazy ways. Like, anything you want, you can make happen. It just takes that practice of making peace with where you are now and appreciating where you are now, all the people, the lessons, the information that is coming through for you to apply and decide, am I going to accept or reject this? And am I going to carry this on into my new identity, or am I going to be run by my lie identity? And so you get to decide. In other words, this video in a nutshell is, you get to decide where your life goes next. And you get to decide what you think. Isn't that amazing? I think it is. It's awesome. I'd rather think good thoughts than negative thoughts about myself. I'd rather think good thoughts about others than negative thoughts about others. And a lot of times when we think negative thoughts about others, we got something going on within ourselves. Always check yourself before you wreck yourself. You got to remember that. Just check yourself. You have some thoughts about something outside of you? Ask why. Where does that come from? How am I thinking about me right now? Why am I projecting out on somebody else? Why am I judging this person? How am I judging myself? Bring it back to you. Bring that energy right back to you, because again, I mentioned yesterday in the self-care video that I made a huge list today, but and I literally forgot where I was going. This is what I do. I think I have ADHD. I'm sure some people would probably agree with that. I've been accused of having ADHD by a client, actually. It was really funny, actually. A few months back, I think it was. But yeah, I'll get to talking and then I forget what my point was. And then, yeah, so maybe I'll think of it later. But the self-care video, anyway, I made a list of, and I'm going to be adding to it, but more things that we can do for self-care that are not like physical things. It's more like our thoughts and things like that. But I think it came back to me now. When you're looking outside yourself, you're abandoning yourself. So, and a lot of people have that fear of abandonment. And so if you have a fear of abandonment, of people leaving you because, oh, I'm going to be myself and then they're going to judge me and leave, that means you are judging you and you are leaving you. You got to let that sink in, because it took me a while for me to actually embody that, like really take that in to my body and feel those feelings, because they're in your body. You can feel that emotion, and always check that too. Check your thoughts, your feelings, where you feel it in your body, the emotion that pops up. And then what's my pattern? Where did that maybe come from? Just examine these things. It's really cool when you do find those root, like core negative beliefs that have been there for like decades. It's really cool when you finally find another one, and you just kind of like flick it and you're like, wow, I'm done with that now. Wow, I feel lighter. It's just pretty amazing. So I do recommend doing this, quote, work. It does take some repetition, but, and like bravery to look at yourself, and that courage to look at yourself. So, and I'm forced to look at myself every single day on these videos. I'm forced. Well, I'm forcing myself, I guess, every day to do it just because I check the videos. But it has been such a humbling experience, because some days I'm like, oh, I didn't sound good, or oh, I didn't look good, or oh, whatever the case is that comes in my mind, and I immediately reject it. I say, nope, you did the best you could today. That is awesome. Like, you did awesome. I always give myself props for everything I'm doing. because I was once a terrified little girl that couldn't turn on a camera. So you got to be your own hype person, in other words. Build yourself up. I'm here to build you up too. I'm here to uplift you. Let's uplift each other. And I'll always be here to do that for any of you. If you ever need it, I'll do a rampage of appreciation like Esther Hicks does just for you. I'll create it. I might have to like create it and then read it because I'll probably ADHD my way out of the rampage somehow. Just a joke. I don't know if I have that or not. I have never been diagnosed with that, but the human clinical definition, I might be that. I don't know. I've often questioned that. But anyways, well, hope you all are doing amazing. Thank you for listening. I'm going to go to bed soon. This has been a busy week. I got a couple more really intense busy weeks coming up. Really intense busy. I'm so thankful. And I'm thankful for all of you so much. Thank you all for being here as usual. And remember, you are so, so loved. I love you all so much. And I hope you have a wonderful start to your weekend and enjoy whatever you're doing or whatever you're not doing. Relax, enjoy, and remember to appreciate yourself because what you appreciate appreciates. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.